Admiral James Anderson stood tall in his crisp blue uniform before the Galactic Council. The massive chamber sparkled with floating holographic displays and gleaming metal surfaces. Beings from 100 worlds sat in rising tiers around him, their faces showing everything from boredom to open scorn. High Counselor Xelther, a tall figure with silvery skin, leaned forward in his floating chair. "So, Admiral Anderson," he said, his translator making his voice sound smooth and cold, "you expect us to believe that Earth is ready to join the Council as a full member." Anderson kept his face calm, though his hands wanted to form fists. "Earth has met all basic requirements for membership," he said. "We have working faster than light drives, shield technology, and a growing fleet off." Laughter cut him off. Not polite chuckles, but the kind of laughter that children use to mock each other on a playground. Several council members didn't even try to hide their amusement. "Your fastest ships," Xelther said, wiping at his eyes, "take 3 weeks to cross distances our cargo haulers manage in days. Your shields wouldn't stop a mining laser. And your weapons." He shook his head. "My personal yacht has better armament than your best warship." Anderson felt his neck growing hot, but he kept his voice steady. "We're learning and improving every day. Humanity has a long history of—" "Yes, yes," Xelther waved his hand. "Your famous human determination. Very inspiring. But the Council needs members who can contribute, not primitive species playing with toys they barely understand." Back on Earth, at almost the same moment, Lieutenant Emily Rogers sat straight up in her chair at the Antarctic Research Station. Her computer screen showed a message that shouldn't exist. She ran the decryption program 3 times to be sure. "Holy shit," she whispered, staring at the coordinates that had just appeared. According to the data, they came from a transmitter that had been buried in the ice for at least 50,000 years. But that was impossible. Humans didn't even have writing that long ago, let alone technology that could still work today. She looked around the quiet research station. It was night shift, and she was alone in the communications room. Protocol said she should report this up the chain of command immediately. But something in the message made her pause. It had been specifically coded to match current military encryption, almost like whatever sent it knew exactly who would be listening. In the council chamber, Anderson endured another round of thinly veiled insults. A representative from the mercantile worlds was speaking now, explaining how Earth's economy was too primitive to matter. Another delegate was making jokes about humanity's quaint attempt at digital security. Anderson's communicator buzzed silently in his pocket. Emergency code from Earth. He wanted to check it, but walking out now would only prove the Council's point about humanity's lack of diplomatic experience. He had to stand there and take it, watching Xelther's smug smile grow wider with each passing minute. "Perhaps," Xelther said finally, "Earth would be better served accepting our protection. After all, there are many dangerous elements in the galaxy. Pirates, outlaws, rogue states." His smile turned cold. "It would be tragic if something happened to your lovely planet while you were still developing proper defenses." Anderson felt a chill at the thinly veiled threat, but his communicator buzzed again, and somehow its insistent vibration gave him strength. "Earth appreciates your concern," he said carefully, "but we prefer to develop at our own pace." Of course," Xelther said. "Just remember our offer of protection when you need it. And you will need it, Admiral. You will need it very soon." Anderson nodded stiffly and left the chamber. Only when he was in the privacy of his ship did he check the urgent message from Earth. As he read Lieutenant Rogers' report, his eyes grew wide. Maybe, he thought, the Council's mockery wouldn't last much longer after all. Dr. Robert Mitchell stood at the edge of the massive ice tunnel, his breath forming clouds in the freezing air. His team had been drilling for 3 days straight, since Lieutenant Rogers reported the signal. What they found was impossible. "How big is this place?" Captain Michael Hayes asked, shining his powerful flashlight across the smooth metal walls. The beam disappeared into darkness ahead of them. "We've mapped about 2 miles of tunnel so far," Robert said, checking his tablet. And we're only seeing a small part of it. The radar shows it goes much deeper. The walls weren't just metal. They were perfectly smooth and showed no sign of rust or age. They shouldn't exist. Not here, not under a mile of ancient ice, and definitely not looking like they were built yesterday. "Look at this," one of the researchers called out. She was studying strange markings on the wall. "These symbols, they look almost like old Sanskrit, but different." Michael stepped closer, running his gloved hand over the markings. "Can you read any of it?" "That's the crazy thing," she said, pointing to a section. "This part here, it's in perfect English. It says Hangar Bay 7. Robert and Michael looked at each other. A hangar bay? Here. Their radios crackled. "Dr. Mitchell, Captain Hayes," a voice called. "You need to see this. We got the main doors open." They hurried down the tunnel, their footsteps echoing off the ancient walls. The tunnel opened into a vast chamber that their lights couldn't fully illuminate, but what they could see made them stop in their tracks. Ships, dozens of them. They hung in perfect rows from ceiling clamps, their dark metal surfaces catching the light. They weren't the clunky, boxy ships that Earth built today. These were sleek, elegant machines that looked more advanced than anything the Galactic Council had. "This is impossible," Robert whispered. "Carbon dating puts this facility at over 50,000 years old. We were still figuring out stone tools back then." "Maybe we weren't," Michael said quietly. "Maybe we just forgot." Their lights played over the closest ship. It was smaller than the others. Probably a scout vessel. Its surface was covered in the same strange markings they'd seen in the tunnel. But near what looked like a cockpit, there was another perfect English label. Phoenix Scout. Mark II. "How?" Robert asked. "How is this in English? How is any of this here?" Before Michael could answer, one of the security team members called out, "Sir, we found what looks like a control room, and something's turning on." They rushed to a chamber off the main hangar. Banks of strange equipment lined the walls. Screens they hadn't touched were lighting up one by one, displaying that same mix of unknown symbols and modern English. "Look at the power readings," Robert said, studying the display. "Whatever's running this place, it's been active this whole time. Just waiting." "Waiting for what?" Michael asked. A new voice answered, smooth, female, and coming from everywhere at once. "Waiting for the right moment, Captain Hayes. Waiting for humanity to need us again." Everyone spun around, looking for the source of the voice. A hologram appeared in the center of the room, a woman in what looked like a military uniform none of them recognized. "I am ARI," the hologram said, "Ancient Reconnaissance Intelligence Assistant. And you're right, Dr. Mitchell. Humanity has forgotten much. But now it's time to remember." Michael's radio buzzed. "Captain, this is Surface Control. We're picking up some kind of energy surge from your location. And, sir, the Council observation satellite just changed course. It's heading this way." Michael looked at the hologram. "Can they detect this facility?" Arias smiled. "No, Captain. This base has technology they can't even imagine. But soon, they're going to learn just how much they've underestimated Earth." Technical Officer Lisa Thompson wasn't sure what to expect when they called her to the ancient facility. She'd been working on Earth's newest ships, but nothing had prepared her for this. The control room hummed with power that felt different from anything she'd known. "The neural interface is quite simple," Arias said, her hologram floating beside Lisa. "Just place your hand on the control panel." Lisa looked at Captain Hayes, who nodded. She took a deep breath and put her hand on the smooth metal surface. Blue light spread from her fingers across the panel. "Oh my God," she whispered. The ship's systems flowed into her mind like memories she'd forgotten. She could feel the engines, the weapons, the shields, everything. "Your genetic profile is a 97% match for our original pilots," Ariad explained. "These ships were made to work with human minds." Dr. Mitchell was recording everything on his tablet. "Ariad, you said we forgot. What happened to us? To this technology? The hologram's face grew sad. 50,000 years ago, humanity reached the stars. We built ships that could cross galaxies. We had cities on 100 worlds. She waved her hand, and the walls filled with images of impossible things. Crystal cities, ships that dwarfed mountains, stars held in nets of light. Then came the war. HFY continued, not against aliens, against ourselves. We had grown too powerful, too quickly. Colony fought colony. Planet fought planet. We had weapons that could erase solar systems. Lisa felt a chill, even as the ship's systems sang in her mind. What happened? The wisest among us saw where it was heading. They knew humanity would destroy itself completely. So they made a choice. More images appeared. Massive ships hiding in ice and under mountains. They hid away our most advanced technology. They used special devices to guide humanity's development back to a simpler time. Let them grow again, more slowly, more wisely. And you've been waiting all this time? Captain Hayes asked. Just watching us. Protecting you. Guiding you very carefully. We knew that one day humanity would reach the stars again, and we hoped that this time you would be ready for the power you once held. Lisa's radio crackled. Officer Thompson, we've got council ships entering the solar system. 5 of them, bigger than anything they've sent before. Through the neural link, Lisa felt the ancient ship respond to her spike of worry. Displays lit up, showing the council ship's positions. They're not here for a friendly visit, Captain Hayes said grimly. Those are war formations. Indeed, HFY agreed. The council has grown corrupt. They keep younger races weak, dependent. They fear any species that might challenge them. She turned to Lisa. That panel beneath your hand. It controls more than just one ship. Shall I show you? Lisa nodded, and suddenly her mind filled with more connections. She could feel dozens of ships, hundreds, a whole fleet, sleeping in the ice, waiting for human hands to wake them. We received a message from Admiral Anderson, Captain Hayes said. The Council's giving us 1 day to accept their protection. After that, they say they'll take control of Earth's defenses for our own safety. Dr. Mitchell looked worried. Can these ships really fight the Council fleet? Their technology is centuries ahead of ours. HFY smiled. Their technology is centuries behind what you see here. This facility isn't just a base, Dr. Mitchell. It's one of many. Earth isn't just your homeworld. It's the capital of humanity's first empire. And these ships, they're just the beginning. Lisa felt the truth of it through the neural link. These ships weren't just machines. They were humanity's legacy, waiting to help them take their place among the stars again. How long? Captain Hayes asked. Until we can have pilots trained and ships ready. With the neural interfaces, Lisa said, feeling the knowledge flow through her mind. Hours, maybe less. These ships want to fly again. They want to protect Earth. Then let's get started, Hayes said. We had a lot to do before the Council's deadline. Commander David Reynolds watched as another group of pilots entered the ancient ships. All around the massive hangar, people worked quickly and quietly. They had less than 18 hours before the Council's deadline. That's the 4th group today, Officer Jessica Martinez said, walking up beside him. She had been the first to successfully link with one of the scout ships, and now she was helping train others. The neural interfaces make it much easier than regular pilot training. David nodded. How long until they're ready? The ships do most of the work, Jessica explained. Once the neural link connects, it's like remembering how to ride a bike. The knowledge is just there. Across the hangar, Technical Officer Thompson was teaching another group how to access the weapon systems. The ancient ships had technology that made no sense to modern science. Weapons that could bend space itself. Shields that didn't just block attacks. They sent the energy into another dimension. Sir, a young officer ran up to them. We just got word from the surface. The Council ships are moving closer. They're spreading out to surround Earth. David's radio crackled. Commander Reynolds. It was Admiral Anderson, still on his way back from the council meeting. How are we doing down there? Better than expected, sir, David replied. We have 30 ships crewed and ready. More coming online every hour. Good, because I don't think we'll have until tomorrow. The council ships are acting too aggressive. They might move before their own deadline. Jessica touched the neural interface on her neck. Through it, she could feel her ship's systems humming with readiness. Let them come, she said quietly. These ships have been waiting a long time to protect Earth again. In another part of the hangar, Lisa Thompson was making an incredible discovery. Commander, she called out. You need to see this. David and Jessica hurried over. Lisa was standing in front of a massive screen filled with glowing dots. ARI had just showed me this, Lisa said excitedly. These aren't stars, they're other bases, all over the galaxy. Each one has a fleet like this one. How many? David asked, staring at the hundreds of dots. Thousands. ARI's hologram appeared beside them. When humanity retreated, we hid our technology in safe places, some under ice, like here, others in deep caves, or on dead moons, or inside gas giants, all waiting for humanity to need them again. A new alarm sounded. Commander, someone shouted. The council ships are powering up their weapons. How long until they're in firing range? David asked. 3 hours at their current speed. David looked at Jessica. Get your pilots ready. If they want to fight, we'll give them one they'll never forget. Wait, Lisa said, studying the neural link data. These ships, they're not just warships. Look at this. She brought up a new display. It showed energy patterns around the council ships. We can disable their weapons without hurting anyone, she explained. The ancient ships can create energy fields that shut down any technology less advanced than themselves. We don't have to fight them. We can just turn them off. David smiled. Even better. Jessica, get your best pilots ready. Lisa, show them how to use these energy fields. We're going to give the council a demonstration they weren't expecting. All through the hangar, pilots and crew members worked faster. Ships that had slept for 50,000 years powered up one by one. In the control room, Araya watched with satisfaction. The old plans had worked perfectly. Humanity had grown wiser in their time away from power. They weren't talking about revenge or destruction. They were looking for ways to win without fighting. Commander, a voice called over the radio. Admiral Anderson's ship just landed. He's on his way down. Good, David said. He should be here for this. After all the insults and threats he had to sit through at the council, he deserves to see their faces when they realize what Earth really is. Jessica climbed into her ship's cockpit, feeling the neural link connect instantly. Around her, other pilots did the same. In a few hours, the council would learn that they hadn't been dealing with a primitive, helpless species. They had been mocking the sleeping giants of the galaxy. And now the giants were waking up. Lieutenant William Cooper floated near the window of the International Space Station, watching the council ships approach Earth. Their massive shapes blocked out the stars, dark and threatening against the black of space. They're not even trying to hide their intentions anymore, he said into his radio. I count 7 main warships now. They're forming an attack pattern. Down in the Antarctic base, Admiral Anderson stood in the ancient control room, listening to William's report. Around him, screens showed the council fleet's positions. They weren't just coming to threaten Earth anymore. They were coming to take it. Time until they enter weapons range? Anderson asked. 1 hour, sir, William replied. They're moving faster now. And, sir, they're not responding to any of our messages. Anderson turned to Commander Reynolds. Are we ready? Yes, sir, David said. Officer Martinez has 30 pilots trained and ready. Officer Thompson has taught them how to use the energy disruption fields. We can shut down the council ships without firing a shot. And if that doesn't work, then they'll learn what these ships can really do. In the hangar bay, Jessica Martinez ran final checks on her squadron. The ancient ships hummed with power, their neural links letting the pilots feel every system. Through the link, she could sense her pilot's mix of excitement and nervousness. "Remember your training," she said over the squadron channel. "These ships are far beyond anything the Council has. Stay calm and let the neural interface guide you." Lisa Thompson's voice came over the radio. "Council ships are charging weapons. They're targeting major cities." Anderson's face hardened. "They're not even going to demand surrender first. They're just going to attack." "Sir," William called from the space station. 3 more Council ships just appeared behind the moon. "They're smaller, probably troop carriers. They think we'll be defenseless after the first strike." Aria's hologram appeared. "Admiral, I'm detecting energy readings from the Council fleet. They're preparing to fire." Anderson looked around the control room. 50 years in the military hadn't prepared him for this moment. "How many people know about this base now?" "Less than 100, David replied. "All sworn to secrecy." "Good." Anderson straightened his uniform. "Because after today, everything changes. Lieutenant Cooper, get the space station crew to the emergency pods. Commander Reynolds, begin launch sequence." Deep in the ice, ancient machinery rumbled to life. The massive hangar doors began to open for the first time in 50,000 years. "Sir," Lisa called out, "the Council ships are broadcasting a message." High Counselor Selther's face appeared on the main screen. He wasn't even trying to hide his satisfaction anymore. "People of Earth," he said, "your time of independence has ended. For your own protection, the Galactic Council is assuming direct control of your world. Any resistance will be met with immediate force. Submit now, and your lives will be spared." Anderson smiled for the first time that day. "Send them our response." Jessica's voice came over the radio. "Squadron ready for launch, sir." Council ships entering final attack position. William reported from the space station. 45 minutes until they're in range. "Sir," Lisa said suddenly, "I'm detecting more Council ships entering the system. A lot more. At least 30 vessels." Anderson looked at AI. "Can we handle that many?" The AI smiled. "Admiral, one of our ships could handle their entire fleet. We just need to decide how we want to reveal ourselves. After all, this moment will be remembered for centuries." "The Council is broadcasting again," Lisa reported. This time, Selther's voice was hard and cold. "Since you refuse to respond, we will assume you are hostile. Your primitive defenses cannot stop us. Your world is now under Council control." Anderson looked at the tactical display. The Council ships were spreading out, preparing for their first strike. They thought they were dealing with a helpless primitive world. They had no idea what was waiting beneath the ice. "All pilots to your ships," he ordered. "It's time to show the galaxy who we really are." In her cockpit, Jessica felt her ship's systems surge with power. Around her, 30 other ancient vessels powered up, their technology awakening after 50 millennia of sleep. Through the neural link, she could feel her squadron's readiness. The Council was about to learn that they hadn't been dealing with a primitive species. They had been threatening the descendants of the most powerful civilization the galaxy had ever known. The Council ships hung in space like dark clouds before a storm. High Counselor Xelther stood on his command bridge, watching Earth grow larger on his view screen. He smiled as his weapons officer reported all systems ready to fire. "Such a shame," he said to his bridge crew. "They could have accepted our protection peacefully. Now they'll learn their place the hard way." "Sir," his sensor officer called out, "I'm detecting some strange energy readings from the planet's surface. Probably their primitive defense systems powering up." Selther laughed. "Nothing that can harm our—" The officer's eyes went wide. "Sir, something's coming out of the ice." Deep in Antarctica, massive doors opened in the frozen ground. Snow and ice fell away as ancient machinery moved for the first time in 50,000 years. The first ship to rise was Jessica Martinez's scout vessel, its dark metal hull gleaming in the sunlight. "Phoenix Squadron, Launch, Jessica commanded. One by one, 30 ships of impossible design rose from the ice. They moved without sound, without visible engines, defying gravity as if it was nothing more than a suggestion. On the International Space Station, Lieutenant Cooper watched in awe. The ancient ships looked like works of art next to the bulky council vessels. Their hulls seemed to bend light around them, making them hard to look at directly. Status report. Admiral Anderson called from the control center. Council ships are responding to our launch, Lisa Thompson reported. They seem confused, sir. Their sensors can't get a clear reading on our vessels. Of course not, Araya said with a small smile. These ships use technology they can't even understand, let alone detect properly. On his flagship, Selther stared at the strange fleet rising from Earth. Impossible, he whispered. Their ships. This can't be right. The energy readings are off the scale. Sir, his weapons officer shouted. Our targeting systems can't lock onto them. The computers say, sir, they say these ships don't exist. Jessica led her squadron up through the atmosphere. The neural link let her feel her ship's power, its eagerness to fly again after so long. Behind her, the other pilots felt the same connection, the same surge of ancient technology awakening. Council vessels are charging weapons, Lisa reported. Let them, Anderson said calmly. Officer Martinez, show them what these ships can do. Jessica smiled. With pleasure, sir. Squadron, activate disruption fields. 30 fields of invisible energy spread out from the Earth ships. Where they touched the council vessels, systems began to fail. Weapons powered down. Engines sputtered. Shields collapsed. What's happening? Selther demanded as his bridge went dark. Emergency lights came on, showing his crew's panicked faces. Get our weapons back online. We can't, sir, his engineer cried. Nothing works. It's like our technology just stopped. Through the neural link, Jessica could feel the council ship's primitive systems trying to fight against the disruption field. It was like watching children's toys trying to stand against a tidal wave. Council fleet is dead in space, she reported. No weapons, no engines, no shields. They're completely helpless. Anderson's voice was calm but firm as he opened a channel to Selther's ship. This is Admiral Anderson. As you can see, Earth is not as primitive as you thought. These ships are just a small sample of our true capabilities. On his powerless bridge, Selther's face had lost its silver shine. It was gray now with fear. What are you? He whispered. We are humanity, Anderson replied. We built empires when your species was still learning to make fire. We crossed galaxies before your people invented the wheel. We chose to step back from power once. Now, thanks to your threats, we're stepping forward again. Lisa's voice came over the radio. Sir, the other council ships are retreating. All 30 of them just turned around and jumped to FTL. Let them go, Anderson said. Let them tell the council what they saw here. Let everyone know that Earth is not weak. We were never weak. We were just waiting for the right time to remember who we are. Jessica watched the council ships float helplessly in space. Through the neural link, she could feel the ancient technology singing with joy at being used again. Humanity was awake now, and the galaxy would never be the same. 1 week after Earth revealed its ancient fleet, the Galactic Council chamber was in chaos. Delegates shouted at each other while High Counselor Selther tried to maintain order. His silver skin had turned permanently gray since his encounter with Earth's ships. The humans have been hiding this technology all along, one delegate accused. They could have destroyed us at any time. Another shouted. Commander David Reynolds stood at the speaking platform, watching the panic with calm eyes. Behind him, Officer Jessica Martinez and Technical Officer Lisa Thompson waited quietly. Through their neural links, they could feel their ships parked outside the council station, a reminder of Earth's power. We didn't hide anything, David said when the noise died down. We forgot. We chose to forget. But now we remember, and things are going to change. In the week since the failed attack on Earth, Dr. Robert Mitchell's team had found 5 more ancient bases. Each one held ships and technology beyond anything the Council had ever seen. But more importantly, they found records, the true history of humanity's first age of space travel. Earth is willing to share some of our recovered technology, David continued. But first, things need to change. The Council can no longer bully younger species. No more protection agreements. No more keeping others weak to maintain your power. Zelther stood up, trying to look confident. You can't just come in here and change rules that have worked for centuries. Actually, we can. Lisa stepped forward. Araya, show them. The eye appeared in the center of the chamber. With a wave of her hand, she filled the air with holograms showing hundreds of ancient bases scattered across the galaxy. Each of these facilities contains a fleet like the one you saw at Earth, Lisa explained. Each one has technology that makes your most advanced ships look like toys. We're not asking you to change. We're telling you how things will be from now on. A delegate from one of the younger species stood up. My people have suffered under Council protection for generations. We support Earth's demands. More delegates stood, especially from newer species. They had all faced the Council's bullying. Now they saw a chance for change. This is outrageous. Zelther shouted. I call for a vote of no confidence in Earth's membership. I call for a vote of no confidence in your leadership, another delegate countered. The chamber went quiet. No one had dared challenge Zelther directly before. On Earth, Admiral Anderson watched the Council session through a video feed. Captain Michael Hayes stood beside him in the Antarctic base's control room. Dr. Mitchell just reported finding another base in the Sahara, Michael said. This one has different ships, bigger ones, and something else, some kind of faster-than-light communication system. It makes our current communication methods look like smoke signals. Anderson nodded. And the Council's response to our terms. Most of the younger species support us completely. The older ones are scared, but they're realizing they have to change. Zelther just lost his position as High Counselor. They're voting on a new leadership structure now, one that gives equal voice to all species. In the Council chamber, David watched as delegates lined up to speak with Jessica and Lisa. Many wanted to know about the ancient technology. Others wanted to talk about trade agreements and cultural exchange. But most importantly, they wanted to talk as equals, not as superiors looking down at a primitive species. Commander, Jessica said through their private channel, more Council ships are gathering near the Arcturus colony. They might be planning something. David smiled. Let them try. We have bases in that sector that make this fleet look small. But I don't think they'll try anything. They're starting to understand that the galaxy's balance of power hasn't just shifted. It's completely changed. Through her neural link, Lisa felt ARI's satisfaction. The AI's long wait was over. Humanity had grown up enough to handle its ancient power, and now they were using it not for conquest, but to help others break free from oppression. The galaxy was changing, and this time, humanity would do things right. 1 month after Earth revealed its ancient fleet, Admiral Anderson stood in his new office in the Antarctic base. Through the window, he could see ships taking off and landing, both Earth vessels and visitors from other worlds. The secret was out, and everything had changed. The last of the unfair protection treaties have been canceled, Commander Reynolds reported, standing at attention. The younger species are forming their own alliance, with Earth's guidance. Anderson nodded. And the old Council members, learning to adapt. It's amazing how polite they've become since they learned about our other bases. David smiled. Speaking of which, Officer Thompson has something to show you. Lisa Thompson hurried into the office, her eyes bright with excitement. Sir, we found something in the Sahara base's records, something big. She placed a data tablet on Anderson's desk. Through her neural link, she brought up a hologram showing a map of the galaxy. Hundreds of dots lit up, showing the ancient bases they'd already discovered. "We knew about these," she said. "But look what ARIA just found." She touched another control. Thousands more dots appeared. The galaxy lit up like a Christmas tree. "Are those all?" Anderson's eyes went wide. "Yes, sir. More bases. But these aren't just storage facilities or hangars. These are full colonies, cities, research stations, all in perfect preservation, just waiting for us to remember them." Aria's hologram appeared. "Your ancestors built wonders, Admiral. They spread across the stars not just as explorers or warriors, but as builders and creators. And they left it all for you to find when you were ready." Officer Jessica Martinez entered the office next. She'd just returned from a training mission with pilots from one of the younger Council species. "Sir, you need to see this too." She connected to the hologram through her neural link. The map zoomed in on a particular sector of space. "We found these energy readings. They match the patterns of our ancient ships. But they're active. Right now." Everyone stared at the readings. "Are you saying?" David started. "There might be other humans out there," Jessica said. "Descendants of colonies that didn't go back to basics like Earth did. They might have stayed advanced, hidden all this time, watching and waiting just like our bases did." Anderson looked at the map, at all those points of light representing humanity's legacy. "Assemble a team," he ordered. "The best pilots, scientists, and explorers. It's time we found out just how much of our history is still out there." In the hangar bay below, Lieutenant Emily Rogers, the one who had first discovered the strange signal, was preparing for the mission. Her ship, newly awakened from the Antarctic base, hummed with power. Through the neural link, she could feel its eagerness to explore again. "The mission is approved." Lisa's voice came through the comm. "We leave in 1 hour." Emily smiled. When she'd first picked up that signal a month ago, she never imagined it would lead to this. Now she was about to head out into the galaxy, seeking humanity's lost colonies and forgotten wonders. In orbit, Lieutenant Cooper watched from the greatly expanded International Space Station as ships from a dozen worlds came and went. Earth had become a center of trade and diplomacy almost overnight. The younger species looked to them for guidance, while the older ones treated them with new respect. Ready for launch, Jessica reported from her ship. She would lead the expedition, with Emily, Lisa, and teams of eager explorers from Earth and their new allies. "Remember," Aria's voice came through their neural links, "you carry not just humanity's past with you, but its future. Your ancestors left you these gifts, not so you could rule the galaxy, but so you could help make it better." Admiral Anderson watched the expedition ships prepare for departure. They were beautiful, these ancient vessels built by his forgotten ancestors. But more beautiful was what they represented, a second chance to do things right. "Good hunting," he said as the ships lifted off. "Find our lost family. Find our forgotten homes. But most importantly, show the galaxy what humanity can be at its best." The ships rose into the sky, their hulls gleaming in the sunlight. They carried with them humanity's past and future, no longer a primitive species to be mocked, but the returning children of the stars, ready to help forge a better galaxy for all.